Hi there, this is Natalie from nellydesign.com. Do you have projects that start out super small and end up taking incredible proportions? Well, that's kind of what happened here to this project. My goal was simply to do some cleaning in this small entryway. I started out by buying 2 IKEA's shoe storage. Then I thought to myself that it was probably a good idea to paint the wall before hanging the new storage on them. And why not remove the wallpaper I have wanted to remove for a really long time? Yeah, why not? Also, I didn't want to use any colors either. I wanted to keep it very simple. Yeah, great job on that. Except that a white IKEA cabinet on a white wall, it might not look super nice if the white are not identicals. So I decided to add a bit of color, but just on this wall. I also had a stencil idea running through my head after falling in love with the wall that my friend Brianna from Bloom in the Black had made. You can see her video right here and in the description below. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to make a stencil with your Cricut and add a beautiful pattern to your wall. Okay, so first of all, let's start by making the stencil. You're going to choose images that you like, and as for myself, I was looking for leaves or flowers. I wanted something like more natural, so I chose all these leaves and I tested things out, and for that I went here in images and searched Cricut Access for leaves or flowers, or I searched multiple things. And if you go for leaves, you see you have 672 results, so many. And there are a lot that would be very great for this. And the one I ended up choosing is this one. And if you like one in particular and you want to see what else there is that is kind of the same style, well, you can click here on the eye and go view image sets. Image sets are kind of the cartridges that we used to have with the Cricut. So you can see that this is flower in spring, and you have a lot of flowers that are the same style. So I ended up also choosing this one that is in the same category as the one I chose. So they did look good together. They were made to be together. And you see, I could have chosen a lot of them. So I decided to go with these two. Let me find the other one again. Here it is. So let me insert them. And just to have a cleaner Canva, I'm gonna be going right here to edit. I'm gonna cut and I'm gonna paste it to a new Canva. You can do that now. So let's go to new window. I'm gonna open a new window for you. Let's go to a new project. Just gonna scale this up a little bit for you. Here we go. And I'm gonna go here and paste. So here are my flowers. And one note I need to say is that, well, I didn't take the little lines that were in it. Of course, you don't really have to remove it, because when you're going to cut it with your Cricut, you're going to lose the line anyway, because you're only taking the stencil, not the actual shape. But if you want to really visualize what it ends up like looking, that's what I like to do. I'm very visual. I did contour, and I simply removed all the little lines right here. So that was very easy. And for this one, same thing. I did remove the little lines that were there. So with contour again, you can just click on the little lines and remove them. Here we go. So what I wanted to do is combine these two shapes, and I thought that I would kind of put them that way. Now, what you're looking for is trying to still have straight lines. You don't want your shapes. Let's duplicate this one and show you what I mean. You want to arrange them like equal. You want to arrange them like this. You don't want to arrange them so that they are like this, because when you look at your wall, it's going to be like it's crooked and it's going diagonal. So you don't want that. So each time you copy a shape, you want to put it on the side, up or down. So what I wanted to do, let me remove these two. I thought I would do like, let's say I take these ones and I'm going to duplicate them. I flip them horizontal. So these are diagonal. It's contrary to what I was saying before, but this is going to be my pattern. My pattern will be made of 4 shapes. So this one, I'm not going to copy it diagonally. I'm just going to copy it either horizontally or vertically. So what I need to figure out is if it's at the right place, right spacing, in order that if I copy this and I duplicate them and I put it here, will it look good? So you see that now that doesn't really fit together. So what I would be looking for is something more like this. So this one would need to be here. And you see, so you go ahead and you play around with it like that, and you end up making a pattern that really works. So after some trials and errors, this is what happened. And as you can see, if this is my pattern, my 4 pattern, but they are copied horizontally and vertically. When you look at them from far, it really looks consistent. It doesn't look like it's diagonal or it's falling or anything. So that's really what you want to do. So for that, I really ended up, let's say this group with this group, I copied it and I aligned it. And once that was it for a line, I duplicate this one, and then what you can do is really try to align the 3 of them. So you select all and you align, let's say, at the bottom. And one thing that is really fun to use is distribute. So if you distribute horizontally, that will make the center shape go exactly in the middle of the left one and the right one, because it will distribute everything between the most left and the most right. So let's see. Distribute, you see it places it really exactly in the middle. So it is very, very, very equal, and it will be perfect that way. So another thing we need to do is take a shape, and we're gonna take a square and put it at 11.5 because that's the maximum you can cut with your Cricut. Now I want to be able to move this shape, so I'm just going to put it to a pen very quick so that I see through it. And what I want to show you is that I'm able to fit in this square 4 of my leaves, so my whole pattern, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I need to put it a bit down. So do you see there's 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. They are complete. So my pattern is a complete set of these 4 leaves. And I'm able to have a bit of the left one, a bit of the right one, bottom and top. So I'm going to be able to duplicate this pattern on my wall and be able to align with the other leaves. I know it's complicated, but just follow me, you'll understand. So let me close the eye for now. I'm going to select everything and I'm going to weld them so that they become on one layer, since I know that they are placed perfectly that way. So of course Cricut is telling me that this is too big to cut, but that's okay. We're going to reopen the square. I'm going to put it back to a cut, a basic cut. And since my pattern are still the 4 of them inside, and they are kind of in the middle. Yeah, they look in the middle. Let me just put them like this. I'm going to be selecting everything and I'm going to slice. Now what happens is that you're gonna want to keep only this layer. So this one is not good. This one we don't want. We're going to keep this one. So this is going to be your stencil. You could cut it that way, but I don't like the fact that when I'm going to paint, I'm going to be left with half of the leaf. So what I ended up doing is that I cleaned this a little bit. So I used some shapes. You can use any shape you want. And I came here and I went like on top of this. I select all again and I slice. Then I remove everything, of course, except for the stencil that I want to keep. So it cleans up a bit. And then when I'm going to put paint here, well, it won't see that where it stopped. So I did the same thing for all of these, keeping the 4 leaves in the middle exactly as one. Let me show you what it did. So at the end, I was left with this. And if you want to test if it's perfect as a stencil, you can duplicate it. Let me duplicate it twice. And you can check out that if you come and you stencil this on your wall and you come underneath, you can see if it fits. You can have shapes to align it with. So this is what I have. Then you can check out the left side and the right side, so to make sure that you still have places where it can be aligned. So this is perfect for me. We're gonna hit make it. And also just note that what I suggest you do is that you place it in the middle. Just eyeball this and place it in the middle of your mat so you have more space all around it to paint. So I'm gonna click on continue. And I made a lot of tests to see what would cut this plastic, this craft plastic that is 0.007 inches thick. And the best that I found is the foil acetate. So you're gonna browse all material and you're gonna click on foil acetate and select this one. And what it's going to do, it has a pressure of 292 and it will go over the plastic twice. So for that, you only need to load the fine point blade, the regular blade. But I urge you to make tests before. I did some tests with a little A. I'll link to this right here at the top, how to do this test. But it's really easy to make, and you'll make sure you don't lose this craft plastic because it depends on the wear of your blade. My blade was pretty new, so just make some tests to make sure. Once the Cricut is finished cutting, make sure the cut has went through perfectly before removing the mat. So when you're satisfied, you remove the mat and the stencil is easily removed from the mat, and you will probably won't need to weed anything because the pieces will stay on the mat. So this is not the first time that I've painted a wall using stencil. You can see the wall I made in my bedroom the first time I used a stencil. The link is also in the description of this video. I thought to myself that it was the last time because I'm not a very patient girl and I always want everything to be perfect, which is very difficult when using a stencil. For more precision, some friends recommended that I use a stencil brush, so I thought that this little wall was the perfect opportunity to try it out. Did I tell you I was not patient? Well, dabbing with this brush isn't just long, but pretty much impossible. So, there's a lot of paint in it. It's like nothing happens. There must be something that I really didn't understand, because I much preferred my old sponge stencil brush. So I ended up using a mix of techniques. The roller at the beginning, then the sponge brush to add more paint, and finally the stencil brush with circular movements to make the paint enter the stencil in the very thin stems of the flowers. Note that people consider the removable adhesive to be optional, but I'm telling you it's a must, especially if you're as picky as I am. It will really prevent smudges under the stencil. For the roller, and brushes too, it's important to use a dry technique. So you have to remove the paint on the paper, I use a paper bag, and then wipe it off on a paper towel. So when you apply the paint on the stencil, there's hardly any paint that transfers. It's really a pain in the beginning, but once the paint is well absorbed in the roller, it becomes easier to apply. Also, a little tip. I started in the center and then alternated from the top to the bottom to avoid sticking the stencil on very fresh paint. With the registration marks that we made in DS, it was super easy to line up. Once the center was completed, I cut my stencil with a ruler and a utility knife to make it fit perfectly with the ends of the wall. That's the beauty of making a stencil with the Cricut. You can cut it anytime you want as long as you have saved your designs before. I had previously cut 2 stencils with my Cricut, which allowed me to have 4 pieces to make the top, bottom, left, and right of the wall. Ideally, you should put some painter's tapes on the molding and edges, but again, I'm not very patient, and I prefer to wipe off any spills. But please, don't judge me. Despite my adventures, I am very happy with the result. I want to mention, however, that we see a lot of videos on the internet claiming that it is possible to make a stenciled wall in 1 hour. It's not that easy. This tiny wall took me the whole day, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and it's not because I'm slow. Okay, I must admit, because I made my stencil with my Cricut, it's smaller than the ones sold on the internet, but what takes the longest is to apply the paint in thin layers and make the junctions with the other walls, ceiling, and floor. However, the benefit of using your Cricut is that 1. Your stencil will cost you less. 2. You can really make whatever you want. And 3. You won't be afraid to cut it. Make the corners and the walls, since you can cut as many stencils as you want with your Cricut. Now, is stenciling a wall right for you? If this is your first time, maybe I suggest you try a smaller project first. So I will put the link to that kind of project at the end of this video. And if you'd like to see how I organize the rest of my entry, drop me a comment below. Thanks for being there. I'll see you soon. Bye!